Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for being here. Some housekeeping items we have. Before our presentation, there is a Q&A box. Please input all your questions in there. Participants will all be muted, and we encourage you to put any of your questions in that box for Robert. We will answer these questions at the end of the session, and some questions may be answered along the way. So, just keep an ear out, and it may be, that it gets answered, it may not, but we will touch base on it again. So welcome to this week's UNCG Alumni Coffee Break. My name is Yubi Aranda Sandoval. I am an Assistant Director in the Office of Alumni Engagement and a 2017 alumna. It's a pleasure for me to introduce you to our guest speaker today, Robert DeFeo. Robert is a UNCG alumnus. He is a co-founder of Mad Mango Marketing. He was born and raised in Bethany, Connecticut. During his time at UNCG, he pursued a degree in communication studies. Robert is also an alumni of Pi Kappa Phi fraternity and enjoys staying involved with his UNCG chapter. Robert enjoys helping small businesses reach their goals in any way he can. He finds fun in socializing with friends, making music, and boating. Welcome, Robert. Tell us what you have prepared for us today.
Thank you, Yubi. Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for taking the time this Thursday to come here and maybe learn something new. Just a few people I wanted to recognize. Thank you to UNCG and the alumni office for helping me and inviting me to do this. Thank you to some of my mentors that I know are in this chat, like Ken at HQ Greensboro, my partner Aaron, and maybe some others. And thank you to any friends and family I have in here. And to everybody new, my name is Robert DeFeo. I'm the co-founder of Mad Mango Marketing, and these are the basics of SEO, improving your online presence. Sam, if you could prompt the first question. Awesome. Okay. So it seems like a lot of you have heard of SEO, which is good. So a lot of what I'm about to say in this presentation will be a lot more familiar to most of you than those few others. So just some first questions to get off of the board. What does SEO stand for? SEO stands for search engine optimization. Search engines are things like Bing, Google, and DuckDuckGo. Who needs SEO? Any business that wants more online attention should have an active SEO team or person in-house working on improving their online presence. How much time does it take? Depending on your industry, ranking on page 1 usually takes anywhere in between 6 to 12 months. If you have a more competitive industry, it'll lean closer to the 12-month mark. If you have a more niche and specific industry, like fish tank cleaning, it could take a lot sooner to rank on page 1. If you could prompt the second question, please, Sam. Okay, I think that's good. So most of you answered sometimes, never, and one of you often. So statistically speaking, these are the number 1 through 10 position search results and the average click-through rate they have with them. So virtually speaking, if your business does not end up on this first page of Google, your website is ultimately worth it, and any efforts you put into it aren't getting the attention that they deserve. Here at Mad Mango, we like to break things into 6 key components of what is SEO. On site, we make sure your website is following Google's best practices. We want to follow all the rules that they give us so they can do their job easier. Your Google My Business and directory listings. So Google My Business is a really critical tool for local business and local SEO. This is that box that has a website, maybe their hours and directions, a phone number to call them. We want to identify our competition. Identify what leaders in your industry are already doing for their SEO and try to replicate and mimic why they are already on the top. We create content. We write blogs, shoot videos, create a reason for people to visit your website. Backlink building. We reach out to other great sites to refer to our new content that we've just created to get it the publicity and recognition it deserves. Longevity. SEO is all about trust. The longer you perform SEO, the more you appear and the more impressions you're going to get. This is our breakdown and where we put our efforts into SEO. We like to put 30% of our effort into content, 30% into backlinks, 20% into making sure your website is optimized from the beginning so it can be properly indexed by Google. Longevity, we like to make sure we have an established schedule of the content we're going to put out and have an idea of what it is that we will be putting out over the next coming months. And then your Google My Business listings and socials. We want to make sure we're active, engaging with our client base, our audience, and showing Google we are a real and attentive business. Sam, if you could prompt the next question, please. Sorry, that is actually not the question, but. All right, thank you to those of you that voted. Majority is no. It's very difficult oftentimes with marketing agencies to see transparency and hard to understand and come with what they're doing and get a grip on what it is. So just to break down these 6 main components a little bit further. On site, make sure Google can understand your site. Google Lighthouse is a free Chrome extension that you can use to identify areas your website can be improved in things like performance, your page speed, how fast your pictures are loading, accessibility. What is your user experience like? Is somebody coming to your website and finding an easy way to navigate through your information and digest it? Your best practices are things set up correctly. Do you have colors that are laid out in a right scheme to not go over one another? And is your website in a good position to have SEO be performed on it and start moving up in your rankings? Google My Business and directory listings. We want to make sure that there is consistency in name, address, phone, hours, and more. We want to make sure all major directories are showing your business's information correctly to show consistency amongst Google. Identify competitors. If something isn't broke, don't fix it. Learn from the websites at the top. If Google likes one site, they'll like another site that has even more information. If they're putting out 2 blogs a month, we want to put out 4 blogs a month. If they're putting out 2 videos a month, we want to put out 4 videos a month. Google likes to see authority and consistency in content coming out about what's already working. Create content. Answer the questions that people are asking. Create pages that people want to visit, blogs people want to read, and videos people want to watch. Think about this from your user customer experience. Is this something that your user is going to read, and is it going to help them in any way? Is this something that you think will benefit your customer? Is this something that attracts you? Is this something that you want to read, you want to watch, and you want to stay engaged with? Backlink building. When a site links to your site, this is called a backlink. whether it has your naked URL or it's a hyperlink, that blue highlighted word that then takes you to another page. You want to reach out to other websites that are in your industry to refer to that new content you just created. This shows trust to Google. This is something called domain authority. The more pages and URLs you have referring to your root domain, in Google's eyes, you seem a lot more credible and intelligent because other websites are pulling their information from you and giving you credit as that source. Longevity. Longevity is the best way to build authority. SEO is all about showing Google you are an authority in your industry. Long-standing businesses are usually experts. If you've been putting out information consistently on a scheduled basis without hiccup or fail, then Google will reward you for that information you're putting out. Google wants to do the best job for its users as it can possibly do. So why not make things easier and provide them with as much information about your industry that people are searching for as possible? Here are just a handful of case studies just to show what SEO is and how it really works. So this is an HVAC company that we work with out of Connecticut. They came to us with a small budget, and HVAC is a very competitive field. I'm sure you're all aware of somebody that does some sort of HVAC service, and they had an outdated custom coded website. So we started, made sure their on-page SEO was properly set up to be indexed by what Google calls crawlers or spiders that scan a website and they pick up information on it, digest it, and try to spit it out to its users and figure out what that website is about. So we've been working with them for about 9 months, and this down here just shows a last 6-month comparison to the previous 6 months. And they have gone from appearing for customer searches in the last 6 months, they showed up 43,000 times compared to the previous 6 months where they showed up 7 times. And you can see there's been a significant increase in the amount of people that have clicked on their website. This is a stone wholesaler. This is actually my brother's business. He also started with a low budget that began to grow with results as he got more calls coming in. So we wanted to put out more consistent work and information. And it was actually built on Wix, which is a template builder. Sometimes this may become more difficult to build on template builders, but there is an issue if you just have the right practices and show consistency. This is a less competitive industry, so we were able to rank my brother Christopher and his business a lot faster. Looking at our previous 6-month comparison, in the work that he had been doing before bringing us on, he got about 147 clicks in the 6 months before us. And the last 6 months that he's been working with, he has increased that tenfold and more, getting about 1,760 clicks and creating a lot of revenue and a lot of business. And finally, one of our bigger clients, a national mattress company. So an extremely competitive industry. They're competing with names like Casper, Purple, and Lisa Mattress, all those bed-in-a-box mattresses. And their budget as well grew with results as they would come. This is built on Shopify, and they're hyper competitive. And we have increased them significantly in the time that we've worked with them, increasing about 8,000 more clicks, which can lead to a ton more revenue. Thank you guys for listening to my presentation. I am now open to any questions. If you'd like to ask me something more in private or specific, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can reach me at my email, which I'll put in the chat.
Thank you, Robert. If there are any questions that you guys have pending, please put them in the Q&A. We have our first one. It says, what is the most important metric when assessing the SEO of a website?
When assessing the SEO of a website, it's actually very holistic. So there's no most important metric. There are actually a few things that play into it that you want to make sure are all put correctly in order. So we want to see your on-page SEO look good. Are all your images tagged? Something called an alt tag. Are you describing the images on your website? Are you putting answers in that people are looking for? And are we generating content? And then are you getting other websites in your industry to refer to that content? Hope that answered your question. Wix versus Squarespace versus other similar website building services. Thank you for the question, Amber. So those really depend on preference. I would choose Wix over Squarespace, but when you use a template builder, you can often get limited action to what you can actually do and the back end of the website for what you can code if you want to go in and change things specifically. So I suggest maybe things like WordPress and Shopify. They give a lot more freedom. Is there any e-commerce specific advice you can offer? Google Trends is a great tool to use. If there's a specific thing you're going after, you'd like to look at maybe what the search volume on some keywords you're looking for. You can use Google Ads keyword planner and find out what words are expensive to be searching for and kind of put yourself in the position to make a choice. Do I want to focus more on e-commerce organically or through paid click? And then you could start to focus on those words and work them into blogs and work them into other pages on your website. How long should a blog be? A good rule of thumb, you want a blog to be minimum 500 words and look for more around 750 words. Just to answer for pages. So on your homepage, you want to have at least 1,000 words about what it is you do, services you offer, and maybe location specific things. But 1,000 to 1,500 words is a good number to hit. And then on all affiliate pages, you want to have from 500 to 750 words. Sierra, what is the best non-biased site generator to figure out your website listing still needs to improve regarding SEO? So the best software that we use, identifying, pulling things like all this data, the best things that we use is a service called Ahrefs, but the best service for directory listings would be Moz Local, and they are free. They have a paid service that can get you listed one time into all local directories. Any advice for a strong YouTube following? Yes. So naming your videos with things people are searching for that describe what your video is a great way to find what it is that you're doing. Another good thing is just putting in a good caption. You can drive backlinks, like I mentioned in the presentation, to your YouTube videos. You can embed your YouTube videos on your social channels. If there's something you're doing that is very niche or specific, you can make tutorials. Tutorials are a great way to build a YouTube following. Okay. How important is having a keyword in your domain? It isn't necessarily the most important thing, but it does help considerably. Like for instance, my website, Mad Mango Marketing, we began ranking for the words Mad Mango and other variations of that fairly quickly, just for having that in our name. It's not completely important. You won't make or break your business, but it is definitely helpful. what is the effectiveness of paid ads would you recommend for a small business? That is more industry specific. I'd have to know what it is you're looking, a service or a product, but you can actually predict using services that Google offers. It's called a Google Keyword Planner, and you can locate that through Google Ads. But they will kind of give you a prediction with what you spend. You can set a budget, and then they can say you will get about this many conversions or sales for X amount of budget or this many clicks. And then you can figure out from there about how many people you have coming in and how many visitors it takes for you to get a conversion on whatever service or product it is you're selling. How many hours a week does SEO take? So about monthly. If you really want to do your SEO correctly, you should probably be spending anywhere from 8 to 10 hours on your SEO. You want to make sure the content you're putting out is quality, it's organic, it feels like a human had actually wrote it. This wasn't generated by some computer. You want to make sure you are looking at links to disavow them if some of them are potentially spammy or don't relate to your website at all. I hope I answered that. What is the average monthly cost of SEO upkeep, and how much is too much to be paying for SEO services? So SEO is a crazy game. A ton of people do exactly what I do, and it really depends on transparency. Do you know what it is they're doing? Are you getting a breakdown of what they're doing each month? Are you seeing results, maybe not in those first 3 months, but are you starting to get traction in those later 6 months on the words that team has said they're working for? Probably an average cost is about $600 a month for SEO. And if you're paying $1,000 for something, let me know. I'll review what it is you're paying for, and I'll let you know if this is cost effective for you, if they're actually doing what they say they're doing. What are some of the best things to include within your Google My Business listing to improve SEO? So it's not actually directly in your listing, but driving Google reviews is extremely helpful to local SEO. If people are answering questions and putting in, if people are answering questions in your Google reviews, putting in a location, a specific service or product that you sold or did for them, Google scans those just as much as it scans your website and wants to show that other people have had a real experience with you and they can relate to that. It makes them a lot more comfortable.
Robert, there is a question in the chat from Jackie, and it says, does embedding YouTube videos, HTML, or your website improve your SEO since it is also Google?
Yes, so we actually have a blog on this on our website about kind of like double dipping on a blog. So embedding a video can help. It definitely helps people to stay engaged with your website, and that can decrease your bounce rate, which is quite literally somebody going to your website and either bouncing or staying there, engaging, spending time, and then visiting other pages on your website. So videos are definitely in right now. Content's awesome. All social channels love videos. Can ads help my SEO rank or no? Ads can definitely help your SEO. So oftentimes we'll run paid ads in conjecture to the organic work that we're doing just to drive traffic. So ads definitely help in a sense of driving real people to your website, but it's a matter of them staying on your website and spending that time clicking on other pages, clicking on some internal links you have within your website. But the issue with ads are once you stop paying, it goes away. With organic, you have that content on your page and it stays there. So it takes longer to work, but holds more definitively. What are some of the best things to include within your Google My Business listing to improve? Sorry, I asked that. Where should I send a copy of my current $1,000 SEO plan that I am paying so you can review it? You can feel free, I'll put my email in the chat, but you can send it to robert@madmangomarketing.com. Okay, and I think that is it. Let us see for questions.
If you guys have any more questions, now is the time. Go ahead and type them in our Q&A box. Well, we have Robert with us, but like he said, you are welcome to reach out to him if you have any other questions on a private note. Here we go. Our List a Good blog.
Lists are a great blog. You can show like a top 10 list or a top 5 list, and you can put in an honest review and maybe something in your industry. Say you're an electrician, and even something as specific as generators. So the top 5 residential generators, and you talk about which one's your favorite, why is this your number 1 pick, and you share some good qualities about it. And it's very easy to naturally weave these keywords your customer base is searching for. So you could say the Generac generator is an easy generator to repair. And maybe the phrase that you're looking to come up for is generator repair. And a lot of people also just like to digest a top 10 or top 5 list. It's easy to be relatable. They use this as a source of information to answer a question in their head. What it is, should I choose? What service should I go with? What company? Where do you see the future of SEO going in the next 5 years? And is this something coming down the pipeline we should be proactively looking at? Seeing how Google is not going anywhere anytime soon, and Google has about 93% of all search traffic, and then it trickles down to Bing and other search platforms, I would not say it is going anywhere. It is definitely here to stay, but SEO is rapidly changing. It never stays the same. We're always reading about it. We're always reading roundtables and panels. Google updates themselves about 4 times a year. They have core updates. This most recent update switched things to focus on content as much as possible. It really just wants to show its users, all Google users, the best thing possible. It wants to get them the best answer possible that answers exactly what they're looking for. Any WordPress plugins that I should have for SEO? Yes. Yoast SEO is awesome. You can change meta tag descriptions, which are those little blurbs that you see under a URL when you type something in on Google. So you can easily alter things with that. WP Rocket is a caching service. You could use this to manage your cache, make sure your images load faster while retaining their same pixelation and quality. And moving on. Are there any things I can do on my own besides have good reviews and good length content on my site / Google My Business? I know of things like naming photos, certain keywords before uploading them to my site, and different little things like that. Just looking for any other tidbits that are simple. Yeah, so this would still kind of play in line. Sorry, I want to look at your question. This would kind of still play in line to good length content. But if you're a location-based business, you can write location-specific pages, and you don't have to make it visible on your website to your user, but you can still make it visible to Google to be indexed. So you can write, so I'm from New Haven County, best pizza in the country, and you can write content about New Haven County, New Haven specific things, and naturally tie in your product and service. So that HVAC specialists I talked about earlier in the case study, we've wrote New Haven County and Fairfield County specific pages, wrote about some restaurants in the area, some streets that have worked on, just somehow naturally weaving in a town or a county. And there's plenty of other things you could do, maybe not specifically on your site, but you can reach out, like I said, to start building that backlink network. You can reach out to industry specific pages and say, hi, I have this awesome piece of content. Would you like to use this as a source of information? All I ask for is a link explaining to your users where you got this information from, and give me my credit where it's due. Do you use Google Alerts? Google Alerts are awesome. Google Alerts are these small things you put in a key phrase, and Google will scan the internet, and anytime somebody writes an article with this phrase or somehow this conjunction of these words that you've typed in. So we work with an art gallery. So say art appraisers is my key phrase I'm looking for. Anytime anybody on the internet is putting out a word or a series of words that has art appraiser in it, it will send me an email. I can look through all of the times that it was said. I can visit that website, and then I can contact the webmaster or site owner. I can find a contact page and just say, hey, I manage this website, I own this business, I own this company, whatever it is may be, and I think you have an awesome article. I'd love to form a relationship and look how maybe we can work together on creating a piece of content, or how I can contribute to this already existing piece of content.
These are great questions. I think there was one. I think Dana Moore is wanting to reach out. I've sent you her information, Robert. So any other questions we have for Robert? This has been a very insightful session. I have learned a lot, and then at the same time, I have so much more to research because it's extensive information. It's a lot if you are a entrepreneur or small business owner. So great questions, everyone. If we don't have any more, like we said, please reach out. Feel free to reach out to Robert via email or LinkedIn. He is happy to answer your questions and look over some things for you. Robert, thank you for sharing all your knowledge and expertise with us this afternoon. If you are interested in contacting our office, alumni engagement, you are welcome to reach out to me or my colleagues at alumni@uncg.edu. And just a couple of things, we have upcoming events that I wanted to keep you in the loop. August 25th at 12 noon, we have our virtual discussion on how to be an anti-racist by Ibram Kendi. And our discussion will be led by Dr. Robert Collins, Dr. Armando Collins, a faculty and alumnus of UNCG. And let's see, September 10th at 2 p.m., information session about applying to graduate school with Justin Golding. And September 22nd at 7 p.m., supporting parents in having courageous conversations, the One Talk at a Time video series, where Dr. Cord, a UNCG faculty, will speak on how parents can have conversations about race-related issues to help their children construct a strong foundation and to thrive. Last but not least, homecoming. It is October 19th through the 24th. We have a great lineup of virtual events coming your way, so stay tuned. And for more information, please visit our website, alumni.uncg.edu. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Muy buenas tardes.
Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank
Please
you, Robert.
questions. Yes, thank you all for all the help, UV.